Before we start, please note the episode was originally recorded in French, Season 2, Episode 4. The interview segment has been translated into English using AI for a wider audience. Hey, this is Steph, and welcome to the Together Moving Forward podcast. Season 2. Hello everyone, I'm Steph Huet, and I am a human being. Again, welcome to the Together Moving Forward podcast, finally loving and respecting ourselves. This is a podcast for the 2S LGBTQI+ community, along with our friends, allies, and all human beings. I'm really happy to be here with you today. To start, I need to say that I'm not a psychologist, a specialist, or someone with a college degree. I'm just a regular guy here to share with all of you and support each other. I won't tell anyone what to do or how to do things. Instead, I'll share my journey and we will all share journeys together. We'll learn from each other how to move forward. Before we go any further, if you like this podcast, please subscribe now and share. Because the more we unite, the stronger we become. It might seem like a small gesture, but it truly makes a huge difference. This is a first. This episode was originally recorded in French, Season 2, Episode 4. The interview segment has been translated into English using AI. I really wanted to start doing interviews in French, and I also thought that everyone deserves to be able to watch it. Thanks to today's technology, so much more is possible. Steve is my very first interview in French. And what an amazing way to start this with him as my first guest. Me and Steve have a lot in common. We both grew up in a small town away from the city. We both had to learn way too young that we could not be ourselves and had to deal with rejection, silence, and abuse all alone. Steve is from a beautiful region in the eastern part of Quebec in Canada by the Atlantic Ocean called Gaspésie. The exact same region as my husband, who also had to deal with homophobia and bullying, especially at school. The exact same school Steve also went to. A few weeks ago, I was visiting my in-laws in that same region, who, by the way, are such amazing grandparents to our son, involved in his life, and so wonderful to us. One of my husband's uncle came to visit with his partner. She was telling us horrible stories about her own son being bullied and abused at that same school, and that it seemed not much was done about it at this time. It made me so mad to hear those horrible stories and brought me right back into my own childhood. Then, when my husband mentioned Steve, who had a lot to deal with in his youth, and who now, as a gay man, has been doing important work on rebuilding himself, I just know this is going to be pretty intense for me. But I'm so ready to hear Steve's story and learn more about what he has to share. Enough said, let's go meet him right now. Hello, Steve, and welcome to my podcast, Together Moving Forward. I'm very happy that you're my first guest in French.
First French speaking guest. Yay!
Yes. So, to start, can you tell us a bit about yourself?
So my name is Steeve Huet. I'm a proud Gaspésian from the north. I'm about to turn 45. So I've got a bit of life experience in this body. I've been living in Rimouski for a very, very, very long time, almost 20 years now. I'm married to a man, my wonderful Gaetan. We've been married for 11 years now, actually.
Congratulations.
Yeah, he's an Acadian, so I have a wonderful family-in-law. And I'm a guy from Cloridorme in Gaspésie. I've worked mostly as a caregiver up until now. Almost my whole life, I've worked as a caregiver. And then, well, I went back to school to study massage therapy. And along the way, I inherited my mother's artistic soul. So for me, it's through literature that I've really, really found my freedom. So it's not the job that pays the rent, but it's the work that gives me the most satisfaction. It's having written my two books and the third one that's on the way. So that's my passion, writing.
In general, what was your childhood like and what impact did it have on your life?
My childhood, I want to say I had the most wonderful childhood. Often when I write, I have a favorite phrase to describe it, which is the sweetness of life in Gaspésie. I had a beautiful childhood, a childhood as a solitary child. There's a big age gap between my brothers and me. So I was a little boy who followed his mom everywhere. In my childhood, I spent a lot of time at my grandma's. In Gaspésie, a grandmother is called a mémère. I spent a lot of time observing adults. I really enjoyed that. My mother was involved in the Marie Reigns, the Daughters of Isabella, important communities that helped build Quebec, the Women's Quebec. You know, she was very active in those social groups. And as for me, I was a child who got dragged along to the Daughters of Isabella meetings, and I saw and heard some extraordinary things. And then there was a captivating nature of Gaspésie. I would say that if today I truly dare to confidently say that I'm going to publish a significant book of poetry, but not just any ordinary poetry. This is poetry thoughtfully written by the proud son of a lumberjack. So it's really connected to that important time, my childhood, in the gentle way of life in Gaspésie, which were honestly the best years of my life, where Gaspésie from my childhood was wonderful. There was the vastness of the sea with the rydam. And what do you do when you're a kid? You go play on the shore. I used to build little forts for myself. I actually talk about this in my next book. There was a rocky promontory, and I used to go up there, just an 8-year-old kid, and I called it my stage because I was really obsessed with Celine Dion. It was the 90s, and the sea, I imagined it was my audience. So childhood really nourished me. It gave me so much that even though I went through some very tough years later on, there was a big swing of the pendulum on survival comes from the fact that I had a happy childhood in Gaspésie. That's something I really cherish.
It's a solid foundation. That's what allowed you to keep going.
I feel much gratitude for that time in my life.
You experienced bullying at school. Could you elaborate on that, please?
It's honestly, I wonder what path my life would have taken if I hadn't experienced bullying, because the studies I had planned for myself were in fashion business. So my life really took a completely different direction because of the bullying, since a lot of things just didn't happen for me after that. I experienced homophobia at a time when in schools, and I'm talking about the 90s because I was born in 81 in schools all across Quebec, and not just in my own school. There was no plan to address bullying or to counter homophobia, among other things. There simply was no plan. So it was systemic homophobia in my village. It wasn't just because I was gay. It was right after the AIDS crisis. First of all, if we look at the historical context. So anything related to homosexuality, those people were seen as dirty. And I'm being a bit blunt this morning because I've written a lot about these topics. So I can say that's how it was when it was a systemic issue. It wasn't just the village, it was the whole system. It was the school. It was a terrible time to be homosexual in Gaspésie or other regions of Quebec. That's just how it was back then. It was it was like racism, or it was like it was a time when every day you felt different, you felt dirty. I remember a typical day. I would get on the bus in the morning, and right away, the bus was full by the time it got to my place. The bus. So right away, it was really in high school that I experienced the worst of it. On the bus, people could throw rocks at me, they could insult me. Now, with some distance, and after working a lot on that part of myself, I can laugh about it now, you know. They insulted me, saying, among other things, that I was dirty, that I smell like crap. With straws, you know, they would shoot little rocks at me and they'd hit the back of my head. Honestly, it was a time when I was experiencing a lot of, there were microaggressions happening all the time, getting slammed into the lockers. I had to come up with incredible strategies just to go to the bathroom, to mage, just to have a bit of peace and quiet. Otherwise, if I went to the bathroom at the same time as everyone else, I would definitely get beaten up in the bathroom. One of the negative effects is that I would have been a very studious student. Me, I liked school, but at some point, Steph, I was so trapped in a kind of straitjacket. Yeah, that's what I'd call it, a straitjacket that imprisons you. You know, hate. What it does is it compresses you. It compresses your lungs. First of all, some people wonder why we don't say anything. So when you go through things like that, bullying over several years, there are women who are abused by their husbands for years, and people wonder why they didn't call the police sooner. It's because violence or hatred or whatever these things are, the victim, they get compressed like that. And then at some point you stop breathing. At some point you stop, you can't speak because your voice just doesn't carry. Well, now you can see that my voice carries pretty well, but when you go through that, it also crushes your dreams. I had dreams of working in fashion design because I used to watch Top Model with my mom. And it was the 90s. It was all about the beautiful dresses. And at my senior prom, that's what it said. Steve is going to La Salle College in Montreal to study fashion business. I was there for one semester. After that, I dropped out. I didn't feel like I was good enough. And also, I came out of high school exhausted too. So, without a doubt, homophobia during high school was for sure. I've experienced two tragedies in my life. That was a tragedy. At a time when, unfortunately, it was something that shaped me, because when you go through that for years, well, now I'm a 44-year-old man with lots of dreams, lots of hope. I'm still trying to recover from that today, but I'm living again. Now, I've reached a point. There are wounds now. I deal with anxiety all the time now. I know I don't look like it, but I really lack self-confidence. when I'm good at something, I stick with it because it's for my own pride. But me, I'm a guy who could be like Madonna. In my mind, I have the guts to be Madonna. But I was so accustomed to being held back in that particular era that express yourself as Madonna so famously sings. That's a truly huge challenge for me. I just simply cannot do it. It was a terrible time where I was forced to grow up in that environment. There was no plan to help me. I went through all of that in complete silence. And maybe that's why many years later, when I started wanting to love myself and I realized, Steve, take care of yourself. Maybe that's why I started to become a bit of an activist, to write books, to do things like today, a podcast with you where we're really focused on communication. But that comes from the fact that I didn't speak up for a long time.
When you were attending school, specifically during your time in high school, did you already know and understand that you were gay? Did you present yourself as gay, or was it just something you were experiencing internally? Was there something that triggered it?
Let me tell you something quite profound. I've never truly, genuinely come out in my entire life because when I was a very young man, right from the very start, I was always undeniably the super effeminate kid. Even I inherently knew there was something distinctly different about me, something that truly set me apart from others. And in elementary school, I definitely noticed that in the locker rooms, when it came to human biology, the little girls were chasing after me. I was a good looking little boy, when I was a kid. The little girls chased after me, but I found them uninteresting, so I turned them down. They cried because of me. But that I didn't understand at all, for example. I swear, Steph, it was in sixth grade. I stumbled upon the word homosexual in the dictionary while looking for another word. And then I was like, well, that's it.
Oh, yeah?
So, and me, I was a very theatrical child. I've always been like that, very theatrical. I'm very transparent. That's why, deep down, I always knew from the start that there was something different. And as soon as puberty hit, because often that's when we settle into our sexual orientation, you have to experiment to know, to confirm. So as soon as puberty hit, I could clearly see that I was only attracted to men. And then when I started high school, well, I think that all the guys who seemed a bit effeminate or who didn't fit into that kind of full on masculinity, I think we were all more or less victims of homophobia. There were others in my time as well who were mistreated in that way. But for me, well, it's absolutely true that I was truly identified quickly. My entire life as a gay man and my deeply personal love life were undeniably born out of that profound total disorder and utter chaos, which consequently meant that I simply couldn't kiss a boy or even make love to a boy until I finally got to Montreal. All through my formative high school years, I didn't have any physical affection whatsoever, but I could certainly be intensely attracted to boys, though for me that was always completely out of reach.
Oh, yeah. Did you feel guilty about discovering that? When you read the word homosexuality in the dictionary and said, okay, maybe that's what's going on with me. How did you feel about that?
No, I never felt guilty. That's just not in my nature. Me, I inherited the character of my grandmothers who were absolute queens who ran their households. And me, that's just my temperament. I told myself, it is what it is. And then I understood with the awareness of the moment that high school was going to be a rough time for me. And so in survival mode, I just stayed quiet and remained patient. I got beaten up every single day, and then I became really, really big. I became quite obese indeed. I was very, very, very resilient through all of that. I patiently waited it out. And then during the last summer, before I officially started grade 11, as if a benevolent fairy godmother had finally cast a truly good spell on me, I lost weight. I became as handsome as could be. I did grade 11, and even in grade 11, people still picked on me, and I didn't say a word. I had a plan. It was to leave my Gaspésie. Then I went to live in Montreal. Then, as soon as I set foot in Montreal, I got my revenge, Steph. I got my revenge. There, I had friends.
And when you eventually left school, were there any other places where you at least felt truly safe? Or was it exclusively at school that you experienced significant homophobia?
Well, at home in the evening after completing my homework, I would often retreat to my comfortable bed. And honestly, the only place I truly felt good and completely at peace was within the comforting space of my own bed, where I was very tired. And then I also started having a lot of insomnia around that time, but I felt safe under my covers. Like I would tell myself, because I would say to myself, the day is over. The day was over. So then the tension could ease. But I was experiencing homophobia at school every day, on the bus, in class, everywhere. It followed me everywhere. And at home, well, the kind of family where there's no communication and there are no gestures of love. Good parents, but not demonstrative or affectionate ones. So I think that putting those two things together creates a lot of loneliness. And that's how it was back then. Loneliness is something that has always followed me since that time, I would say.
Yes, I understand. Following what you just said, I don't know if you've seen the movie 154. It was about, it's a film that had a huge impact on me, which came out in 2016. It was directed by Ian England. I went to see that movie with my husband, we weren't married yet. And there's a particular scene where the young boy is in a bathroom stall, a very confined and somewhat unsettling space. When I saw that, you can see it there, the camera is above him. And when I saw that scene, I thought I was going to pass out. Truly brought me back to myself. For me, I had dealt with this significant problem throughout my entire high school experience. I spent my whole high school career in the very same bathroom stall because it was absolutely unbearable from early morning until late at night. The constant insults, girl, fag, queer, were always present and continuously uttered on top of significant and very real physical threats. And so I had solved the problem, so I would get to school as quickly as possible and go straight to my bathroom stall. And I spent almost 5 long years hiding in the cramped bathroom stalls between classes. And when I first arrived, all the way until the very end of my 5th year of high school, when I finally made some genuine friends. When I saw that scene, it was like I felt like I'd been run over by a plow. it shook me up so much, and it brought me right back there. And since you're sharing a bit about what happened to you at school, I went through a lot of similar things too, and it still follows me. And I still often have that image of that bathroom stall in my mind. I had synchronized my watch with the school bell, the class bell, and 30 seconds before, well, I would start running, and then I'd head to class, hoping I wouldn't get picked on too much or get roughed up before I made it to the classroom. But did you see that movie?
Yes.
Yeah. Did it have an impact on you? What did you think of that movie?
I would say that for me, with all projects of that particular nature, I always have precisely the same reaction. I don't have any feelings. It's like I'm still very much in a constant survival mode. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah?
For me personally, I'm always those kinds of challenging projects don't really affect me because I am still very much in my own survival mode. And I find it quite trivial because when you do it with so much intense hatred, for me, it has become something completely normal, something quite ordinary. It's just how things are now. The only way for me to be emotionally affected is when I choose to reconnect with myself. A Steve who's been completely abandoned, a Steve who's all alone, who's truly scared in his corner and doesn't really know how to react at all. But for me, I often compartmentalize my thoughts when it comes to artistic projects on these sensitive topics, because unfortunately, as we both admitted, it still profoundly haunts us. People who are truly victims of bullying, of homophobia, especially during that particular time period, from the 90s all the way to 2010, were so deeply and profoundly affected that we break chains. We absolutely break chains, but there are always one or two remaining left that still tie us to all of it. The Commune 54 projects, I personally saw them. I remember it was chilling. Probably I was reacting to my own experience.
I find it really interesting because we all react differently. For me, I truly wanted to relive it, to deeply feel it, to fully exorcise it, to get it completely out one very last time. For me, it actually felt quite good to see that particular scene. Yes, it shook me up a lot at first, but it kind of exercised it a bit, and then it made it feel a bit more ordinary afterwards. Well, a lot.
Me, my reaction, I like confrontation. For me, when I was being bullied, I was acutely aware that one of my primary ways of rebelling against the situation was to consistently show up to class. Even though it was incredibly hard, I was absolutely determined to diligently go through my days. I was incredibly stubborn. And right away, I had this goal. Well, by the end of grade 11, I'm going to leave and I'm going to have a damn good life. And look, now I talk about all this. I write books. Well, too bad. They shouldn't have given me this life. Me now, too, like I like facing challenges. That's why, like I was telling you, I have the temperament of my grandmothers
That's good.
who were very demanding and who stood their ground, who said, no, it's going to be tough. We'll get through it. And I learned a lot from her. I'm very, very, very proud to be as stubborn as our grandmothers were. Then, do you know what? Well, that built me up in a positive way because I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of poverty, for example. Me eating rice and peanut butter, even at my age, I'm not bothered about that. I'll manage. If I go bankrupt, I lose everything. than when. No, I'll just start over. That's all.
Mhm.
That for sure made me resilient. But since I have a rebellious side, well, it's resilience that's more, I don't let myself go. I, I try to grow in my life, and I've become someone who's demanding. But I say that to you with a smile. For me, it makes me happy to be demanding.
I think we learn, we find strengths of resilience we never even thought we had.
If we refer to pop culture, Madonna said something that I really liked when I was in the 90s, during my challenging time of being bullied. Madonna was doing the girly show, and she had appeared on Musique Plus, where she was interviewed extensively. The journalist asked her, "Why is it that your group of dancers is only homosexuals or close to that?" Well, Madonna, she just stood her ground and answered very simply, "Well, it's because they're the best. They're hardworking people. And also, they're people who have drive. They're people who have," she explained it like that. "They've been afraid. They've been hungry. They've had to fight in the street." Well, you become especially sharp, like me. And that's precisely what I truly love about the vibrant LGBT culture. And gay culture is a culture where you're resilient, and in the end, you're a bad bitch. Once you've truly understood the profound and liberating power of saying no.
Enough.
No, that's quite enough. Indeed, me, I say no all the time just for the sheer fun of it. No, all the time, just to see people's reactions, because people don't understand that kind of resistance. It makes me laugh, but that's it. That's why in the culture, I really see myself. Then Madonna, she brought me a lot on that. Then that gave me my character because I saw myself. Hey, but that's who I am. A gay man who struggles with poverty, who struggles with, I'm less lucky than others. If I'm less good at school because I'm disgusted, well, I didn't become a fashion entrepreneur. And I don't have a haute couture house in my name. For me, it kept me in the state of a lumberjack son. I can only do with that. For me, it took away possibilities. It's very serious in people's lives to experience bullying and homophobia. There's really something inside me that was broken down forever. I know that. But thank God I'm resilient and I dealt with it. But I know there are men who are 44 years old, who are in deep depressions. Me, I'm lucky, Steph, to be able to do podcasts like today. For a long time now, no one has asked me questions about anything. I've freed myself from all that. But for me, my dreams from before, those are the ones that are broken forever. So that's my challenge, to make new dreams. But I think a lot of our compatriots go through that.
Yes, I'm going through the same thing as you. And what's happening to me right now is that I've decided that I was going to, well, I can't live the dreams I had when I was young. Because at the age I'm at now, well, there's a certain reality, but I've decided that I was going to live
Yes.
the present moment as intensely as possible. Sometimes it's really exhausting. My days are, I go to bed, I'm dead tired, but I don't have any time to waste anymore. And like you, I have new dreams and I'm going to make them happen. Yes, maybe they're not the dreams I could have achieved when I was young, but let's just say I live quite intensely and very much in the present moment. And I think that's important. That's what it is. That's our survival. It's because I'll speak for myself, but I think you'll relate. I spent so much time in survival mode. All my energy went into just surviving. I couldn't achieve the dreams I had because I had to survive day after day, minute by minute. But today, yes, like you, I'm also learning a lot to say no, and I'm learning a lot to show who I am. By the way, that's one of the reasons why I do this podcast, and it does me a lot of good. So you are an artist and a writer. You've already written a few books. There's a brand new one that will be published this fall. You've already talked about it a little, but could you tell us a bit more about it?
It's been exactly 9 long years since I last published anything at all. For me, it's always been self-published works. Now, what's coming up is a brand new book that will retrace a bit the significant moments that truly made me the most resilient, difficult times in my life. But this time, as a way of expressing myself, my queen Madonna asks of me anyway to express myself on earth, right? I've decided to go with poetry. So it's going to be called Les Roseaux. I'm the one who will release it as a self-publication sometime this fall. Les Roseaux, because I felt it was the right time for me to pay a bit of tribute to my native Gaspésie. It's not because I went through tough times in my beloved Gaspésie that I'm no longer a Gaspésian. Far from it, I'm a great ambassador for Northern Gaspésie. And Les Roseaux comes from the saying, reeds do not break. You can't break a reed. It will bend in the storms. It will lie down on the ground. But when the sun comes out, it will stand back up just right. The powerful and evocative imagery in the book Les Roseaux truly expressed who I am, the era, and that's precisely when I started writing. Sometimes the texts are a bit descriptive, and sometimes they're truly profound and beautiful poetry. There are some texts, my goodness, Steph, you could almost believe they're song lyrics. So I really, really had a lot of fun writing Les Roseaux.
Speaking of that book, you sent me some excerpts from this new book that's coming out very soon, and I really can't wait to get my hands on it, Les Roseaux. Could you please read us this excerpt that really moved me from Death Nourishes Life and explain to us in more depth what it means to you?
The profound excerpt you have chosen is this one. From profound stillness, a few graceful dance steps, a raised powerful fist. From the sharp thorn, a truly beautiful rose. From long days of deep sorrow, profound wisdom. From harsh condemnation, genuine forgiveness. From deep humiliation, ultimate glory. I should mention that I worked in a palliative care home. Of course, working as a patient care attendant has nourished me a great deal. It's a job I found particularly difficult, though, but it's because the job chose me. I didn't choose it, beauty chose me. So that's the profound wisdom of palliative care. What I truly saw in my personal experience is that even just mere seconds before truly leaving this earth, before passing away, before dying, however you want to say it, I always saw that people were still truly living. There is a lot of life in death. First of all, there are two difficult moments for a human being. One is birth, which for the human body is truly a traumatic event. The process of being born is very difficult. It's a biological system that is put into action and it's extraordinary. So coming into the world is an achievement, but leaving this world is also an achievement. For me, it made me very, very, very proud to work for those people. There are nurses, orderlies, and doctors. You often hear that they work in delivery rooms, but I experienced the other end. I lived and worked in a palliative care home, and in my considered opinion, the profound process of dying is just as incredibly interesting and significant as the miraculous process of being born. The human body prepares itself. We don't just die tomorrow. There is a preparation, and in palliative care, all the systems are engaged. So it's a very, very exhausting time, an intense moment in life. That's why I find it. For me, the lesson I learned from palliative care is that there is life at the end. People are resilient. People are afraid. People have reactions. People want to live. People have dreams right up to the last minute. Even people like René Angelil, who are still making plans for their wives and children. I've known many individuals in end of life care where those were incredibly vibrant moments, where it was a genuine celebration. The family gathered closely, sharing God's meals the night before. As for me, I gave baths. Me, you know, little Steve, the son of a lumberjack, I was able to give sponge baths to people who were preparing to die. Me, who is very impressionable in life, of course, all of this made a big impression on me. It truly inspired me, that brief little moment of heartfelt tribute where death profoundly nourishes life. It's true, it really is right up to the end. The real truth is, as long as there hasn't been a last breath, all hope is still there, untouched. I found that the people who went through that were very courageous. That's what it inspired in me. Those moments are difficult, without a doubt. So that was my way. Now that I'm no longer an attendant, it was my way, through the reeds, of truly paying a heartfelt tribute to that significant part. And then, since reads are inherently about resilience, for me, it's absolutely certain, you give a bath to an elderly guy who's 64 years old, and he tells you, Steve, I sincerely hope you'll do absolutely everything you possibly can to achieve your cherished dreams, because I'm going to die very soon. I won't be able to fully enjoy my well-deserved retirement. And there are so many wonderful things I would have genuinely liked to do. So I'm a deeply sensitive guy, and profound moments like that definitely had a lasting and significant impact on me. So I tell myself, Steph, all of this palliative care, what it truly inspired in me is that at the very least, I absolutely have to try to achieve my ambitions. In fact, I could even say that even if there's no success, what it inspires in me is that at least I won't have any regrets.
That's it.
You know how they often talk about profound regrets on your deathbed? Well, I personally saw it with my very own eyes, saw and heard deeply moving confessions that truly taught me I absolutely needed to live. Like, if I genuinely want to experience something, I just do it without any further hesitation.
Yeah.
Because in my case, death feeds life. You see, those encounters, they are not anonymous at all. They're truly memorable meetings. That's for sure when you work in palliative care. Well, without a doubt, it nourishes my own life.
Mhm.
So that's kind of the moral of this story.
That's a good moral. And then there's another excerpt that really moved me. It's the one from Love Returns from War. If you don't mind, I'd like to read it. I move forward like a valiant hero, my proud banner held high. I return victorious from a long and arduous war. Time, in its relentless march, truly proves me right. There was that last decisive battle where the cherished dreams of the past began to gently fade away within the lush, verdant clearing of my youth. My question following that was, what was that last battle?
But it's so beautiful, Steph. I'm the one who wrote that.
Yeah.
It made me really happy to hear it from someone else. Thank you so much for that, Steph. For me, the last battle is about finding myself again. It's the Steve who leaves his childhood behind and enters that truly terrible period. A Steve who didn't receive much love, a little Steve who was scared of absolutely everything, who managed entirely on his own, who was never really comforted, a Steve who was mistreated, and ultimately even by myself. And now, well, slowly but surely, I'm becoming an old geezer. Steph, I'm going to be 45 years old.
Ah, you're still young.
Yeah, but me being an old geezer, I own it. And today, I'm strong enough, no more messing around.
Mhm.
There's something inside me that needs to be fixed. And I'm the only one who can make that happen. That's what solitude has taught me anyway to manage on my own. For me to truly say there is something profoundly serious within me, something like in this particular game, I have completely lost. I have indeed lost. I surrender. I no longer truly value myself at all. Now, what needs to be prepared is peace within me, in my being. It's peace.
Mhm.
So there was indeed a younger Steve, a vulnerable little Steve, who truly needed to be carefully guided and gently taken out of those incredibly difficult and challenging moments he faced. And all of this entire intricate process is the deep and meaningful introspection that I meticulously put into my poetry. You truly have to understand that fundamental aspect.
Mhm.
It's my mature way of analyzing that particular situation. It's figurative, but it's truly about going to find a younger teenage Steve and gently bringing him back home. It's figurative, but the entire process is essentially about coming back home to a place of comfort and familiarity.
Mhm.
It's coming back home, and I'm someone who faces things head on.
Yeah.
And I have absolutely no trouble whatsoever saying it's completely over. We've truly lost the cherished dreams we once had. It's simply not possible in this life. They'll forever remain on the desolate battlefield, no matter what you ultimately want to call it. They are now nothing more than ruins. And for me, with the maturity I now have, I truly like to revisit that old battlefield and carefully observe the ruins of that past. Because I'm growing older slowly but surely with each passing day. And I like to notice the distance that's forming. So that battlefield, it's a place where everything I've experienced hatred, I've experienced people's anger, a kind of withdrawn attitude like that. And for me, from the elevated height of my accumulated wisdom today, I genuinely felt it was profoundly important to fully acknowledge and truly understand it's perfectly okay. Come on now. Let's definitely go home. And at the end of the text, what it says is that We go home with my cat and my partner. So it's you can gauge in this poem my maturity today.
Accept what just happened.
Accept. That's just how it is. I like to name things. It's a drama, that's for sure. But unfortunately, I think that's part of life. That's how it is for me. Me, I have a big mouth. I say it. But I think a lot of people carry their own cross. I've been through that. There are women who have been abused. There are people who are victims of racism. It's terrible what they're made to go through. And I have a lot of empathy. I can't even imagine for a second a fellow citizen, someone from the LGBT plus community in Ukraine or Russia, where things are falling apart right now, for them. I literally pray for them, here in Les Roseaux. It's humbly, I name my own cross that I had to bear.
There's another particularly impactful excerpt, which is undoubtedly the harshest and most profoundly impactful thing anyone has ever said to me in my entire life. That one truly, deeply, and fundamentally shook me to my very core. I'll try to read it. Just thinking about it, it still shakes me up a bit, but yes, I'll read that one to you as well. You will truly be the utter shame of the entire family forevermore. A sentence thrown at me barely 10 minutes before I left for the big city. A young gay man, head full of dreams, promised a career in the fashion business. On the bus taking me away from Gaspésie, the betrayal was utterly crushing me. An abyssal emptiness opened up inside me, an icy loneliness, like a black hole replacing the warmth of the heart. A feeling that has truly never left me, a constant presence in my life. Phew, so where exactly are you at with that particular feeling today, and how is it manifesting for you?
It feels so incredibly strange to hear you quote Les Roseaux because it's truly my baby for now. It was the specific text that challenged me the most profoundly. It's not a particularly long text, that one, but it was incredibly impactful. That's my other wound. It's abandonment. I just want to say that I love my family so much. I would love so much to be a Huet, loved by the other Huets. But it's a beautiful tragedy, Shakespearean, really. I'm loved by everyone except by the people I wish would love me. So I think that really reflects the times. You will be the shame of the family. I think that's something you wouldn't really hear anymore today in Northern Gaspésie, because it's also about how education has changed. When my mother said that, she was undoubtedly bringing her own deeply personal and unresolved issues into the situation, influencing her perspective and the way she communicated her thoughts. And really, that particular phrase is an expression of its specific time and era. But for me, of course, that very phrase, if it was uttered by a casual neighbor, perhaps it wouldn't truly matter as much. But when it was spoken by a woman I deeply loved very much, well, of course, for me, it's a phrase that unfortunately became a pillar in my life. It had a truly significant impact on me. One of the most profound things that happened as a direct result of that particular phrase is that I completely shut down emotionally. It was almost as if I was trying to ensure I would never be disappointed by that kind of comment ever again. It hasn't even been that long, Steph, since I've truly started learning to genuinely and profoundly open myself up again to some meaningful and significant form of a personal family connection. Because, all that community stuff that a lot of our compatriots do, the chosen family and all that, for me, that's just not my thing. I'm very British, Steph. I don't like it. It's my sister's family, like in my in-laws, they're Acadian, they're incredibly welcoming, that's for sure. But I have an honest relationship with my mother-in-law and father-in-law. They're my in-laws, they're not my friends. And they're definitely not a replacement for my mother. As for replacement mothers and all that, I never really got into it. My mother, my parents, my family, they're far from perfect, but they're the ones I love. Personally, I would rather suffer because of that. It's my only connection to my family. That's it. It's that suffering. So it's something I really cherish because I don't have the kind of personality that can pretend and substitute things. I'm not really into that. I'm very clear about my boundaries. I like adapting, but not that. So basically, of course, it makes me age very quickly. It truly toughened me up significantly. It hit me like a powerful punch. And just imagine my profound distress. It was a sentence uttered at, let's say, a truly bad moment indeed. For me, I just finished high school. I survived high school. I'm about to start at La Salle College.
Your dream?
My suitcases are on the porch. I'm about to get on the bus. Like I say in the text, I'm heading to Montreal to study, to make my dream come true. But my mother says that to me 10 minutes before I get on the bus.
What did that sentence mean? Was it because you were going to study fashion business or because of who you were? What do you personally think was the actual reason for that particular sentence?
It was homophobia, the most blatant, gratuitous, and undeniable homophobia. The thing is, my mother couldn't tolerate, maybe I'm going to be quite blunt, but she couldn't tolerate too many things in her life. Being poor, not achieving her own dreams, and on top of that, a gay son that was probably just too much. That's a very basic way of looking at the entire situation. When you be the shame of the family, the conversation had truly started. My mother carefully avoided the question about my sexual orientation the entire time I was in high school. My mother, I understand her completely. I inherited the very same temperament as her. So there she was, rocking in her chair like Gaspésian mothers do, they would rock. I could tell she had something to say to me, but the tension was extraordinary. It felt like a storm could have broken out in the kitchen. I was sitting in the rocking chair near the entrance, and she was at the table. She said, "So you're going to bring home a girl now?" And at that moment, I found that. But for me, this is the fun part, because that's when I realized I could start standing up for myself. Because every now and then, Steph would tell someone off, and that feels good too. That's when I clearly saw that I was able to effectively defend myself, because I truly stood up for myself at that very moment. I had a proper confrontation. And then she said, "I'd like you to bring us a girl." And with all I'd just been through, I thought it was unbelievable they were asking me that right then. Then I looked at her. It was the first time I'd ever done that to Steph, challenging someone. That's why, in reality, it was a good moment, but it was a moment of growth, even though it was difficult. I looked at her and said, "No, it's going to be a boy." Then she turned beet red, like a lot of moms would have. She bowed her head into her little prayer book, pretending to pray. Very theatrical moments, very Italian moments in our family, you know. Mom could start crying easily, moments like that, you know. But you have to laugh about it now. And then she said, "You're going to be the shame of the family." Well, those words, I found that unfortunately we used to be close. She was even a heroine to me at one point. And most of the time, that's what I held on to. But I had already started to feel profoundly lonely during my high school years. And then it just created an immense chasm of profound loneliness because for me, too had just lost a crucial support system, a vital ally, indeed a truly important and indispensable ally. So I pretty much had to fend for myself from that moment on. Because for me, when I left the village, my mom, she was crying downstairs, and I was looking at her. I was on the bus, and I just became instantly cold, like a stone. So that was the beginning of a kind of rebellion in me. That's what it created.
Did you ever try to talk to her again about that phrase? How did it make you feel? What impact did it have on you? Did you ever have that conversation with her afterwards?
Not really, because my dear mom started to get really sick. She went through many incredibly difficult and challenging years after that trying period. And for about 10 long, arduous years, that's how I learned not to talk to my family, because after that event, people drifted apart. And then my mother, she got sicker and sicker and all that. She's passed away now. My mom, she was always in fragile health. And as for me, I kind of had a bit of a British style upbringing where you don't bother people who are sick and all that. So there were a lot of missed moments when we could have talked things out. Many years later, I wanted to start fresh, but it was really difficult because my husband, his situation is nothing like mine. He's really close to his family. He has very healthy relationships with his family ups and downs, of course, but there's still a very tight-knit group. So there was kind of a clash of... At that point, it was as obvious as the nose on your face that there was a big problem between me and my family. So at the wedding, no one came except my father. It's a conflicted relationship even to this day.
What is your relationship with your father like right now?
Unfortunately, to this day, it's pretty much non-existent. My father came to live in Rimouski some time ago, and we had a really truly good time together. But when I tried to talk to him about those specific difficult events, it was just not possible. I was disappointed. It just wasn't possible. And me, I'm someone who likes to maybe I'm not very conciliatory, but I really like to get to the bottom of things. So I think I've accepted the title of Black Sheep of the family. And that comes with it. To put it politely, I'd say that comes with it.
That phrase we're talking about really, why did it shake me up so much? it's because I've heard a lot of phrases like that. There are phrases I received just like you growing up and at school and all that. And there are the things people said to me when I decided to take care of myself and to live. When I decided in my early 30s to truly heal, to take complete charge of myself, to actively seek professional help, and to genuinely heal myself, that's precisely when I made the significant decision to bravely speak out and to openly tell what exactly happened to me and the profound impact it had on me. I honestly don't know which of those particular phrases is the absolute worst, but I truly think there's one that really stands out the most prominently. And it's, well, I wrote them all down, every single one. And when I truly feel like unfairly blaming myself, because even today, it still frequently happens that I feel genuinely guilty for firmly setting my personal boundaries and for truly taking care of myself and consciously choosing myself, because I still get that little persistent feeling of guilt sometime. Well, I carefully reread those specific phrases just to, it genuinely makes me feel much better. It's quite strange to say, but it profoundly confirms the important work I'm diligently doing today and precisely why I'm taking such good care of myself.
Yes.
And I think for me, the absolute worst part is that it's precisely when I truly wanted to share the profound impact it still has on me today and what it had before. Well, I was told, poor little thing, you're so incredibly pitiful, you're merely playing the victim. That was truly one of the absolute worst things ever said. And the other I distinctly remember was, get over it. Those are just mere childhood stories. You just want to destroy us and get revenge. Those hurtful phrases will absolutely never, ever go away. They're deeply engraved in my very being, in my body. They're profoundly engraved in my very mind forever. For me, you truly inspire me deeply, seeing that you accept this significant challenge and bravely keep going forward. It genuinely does me a great deal of good. But your words really, they hit me hard, as they say.
Well, if it can truly and genuinely inspire people, honestly, what I always tell myself is this: it's truly too bad if you're not with me on this particular journey. Well, I am definitely moving forward regardless. And I keep moving forward. So, how do we become the black sheep? We become the black sheep around here because of other people's intolerance. Well, what I've learned in life, Steph, is that I can't carry other people's burdens. I've got enough of my own to carry.
Exactly.
So, look, these are consequences that are actually pretty sweet, in my opinion. What happens with homophobia is that basically, going back to the beginning, you end up feeling compressed at some point. You can't speak, you can't breathe. But just too bad. If Huet is in town, people are going to have to listen to me for the rest of my days. And the Huets, we live a very, 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 very long time. This isn't the first podcast I'm doing, and it won't be the last book I write. The topic of family is important to me because I place a lot of value on it. And as long as I haven't decided otherwise, that's the way it's going to be. People reject us. Well, I decide to start a new business for myself. I'd rather be alone than be so poorly accompanied.
Yeah, well, I also truly think it's about just being authentic and genuinely being ourselves, finally choosing ourselves and moving forward, because I believe we absolutely have a choice. We come to a crucial crossroads. Well, that's what happened to me. Do I die or do I live?
Yes, exactly.
And I chose life, and I am going to do absolutely everything I possibly can to truly live. And no one will ever, ever stop me from living again. That's what I tell myself. I'm absolutely determined.
Yeah, and on top of that, what this particular experience has truly taught me is that the world absolutely doesn't stop turning. If your family doesn't quite get on board, if your friends don't fully get on board, or at work, if your bosses or colleagues don't seem to get on board, well, that's truly too bad. I am the boss now, me. I have become someone like that. It's me, I'm the one who decides, do I always make the right decisions? Well, no. But I'd rather get scolded once or twice like I'm a 4-year-old than have regrets about not having tried or attempted something. For me, I think it's about staying in a path where we nourish life. Like if we were a house plant, we need the right sunlight, we need the right soil. But for that, you have to know what kind of plant you are. As for me, I don't need too much sun. So, well, family for me, I'm a pretty solitary person. Family, close friends, I kind of take all that at a sort of second level because I don't really need it as much now. When we've gone through truly difficult times like that, what exactly is our responsibility afterwards in the aftermath? Let's say, for instance, we are a victim, we're truly hurt. We have to, I'm telling you this very bluntly and direct sometimes, it genuinely helps us understand, well, what exactly is the most appropriate and suitable treatment? It's ultimately up to us, the patients, if you will. It's entirely up to us to fully consent to a particular treatment. That puts us back in the spotlight. It puts us back into a life project. Because I could have had my own haute couture house and I could have been rich and flashy. Maybe I would have developed what kind of problems after all that. So basically, what's truly important is considering all the what ifs right now and who is actually taking good care of themselves. You have to consider this carefully. If the answer to the question is who exactly are you looking for, what specifically do you need, and how will you achieve it? You're in trouble, my friend. The answer should be right away, it's me. But that's what I've learned right now. That's my certainty. So you do it too. It's really about taking a stand.
Yeah.
That's how you get through it. You take a stand. Well, man, when I talk crap, I just go for it. Well, man, that's how it is. That's all. My voice was suppressed for a long time. Well, man, what did that do? I write books. I do podcasts, I do radio, and God only knows I do a lot of communication. They try to suppress my voice. Either I keep quiet, but what happened is, well, it's people who inspired me to do this. It's life that inspired me to do this. But that's just how I was built. That's the topic of the next Barroso, which is called The Revenge.
You'll definitely have to come back.
Oh, yes.
Thank you so much, Steve. You were my first guest in French, and it was beyond my expectations, just as I knew would be. We really should meet up sometime. I think next time we go up to the beautiful Gaspésie region, we could definitely stop in Rimouski and make a quick, pleasant visit, as they say. Meet you, meet your husband. I think that would be really fun. A huge, huge, huge thank you. It did me a lot of good to hear you. It felt good to share with you. And I'm sure it was the same for the people who listened to us. A big thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. See you soon. Bye. What more can I say? Wow. What an inspiring conversation. Steve shows us how resilience and creativity can turn darkness into light. Thank you, Steve, for your authenticity and your courage. What did you think of the interview segment translated into English using AI? I'd love to know your thoughts on this. Did you enjoy it? Were you comfortable with the interview being translated using AI? Please share your feedback. You can leave a comment here or send me a message. I'd love to hear from you. My dear friends, it is already time to say au revoir just for now. So please join me next Wednesday for another episode of the Together Moving Forward podcast. Everybody, share this podcast and spread the good news. By sharing this podcast today, you will help someone find the strength to embrace who they truly are. Wherever you are from in the world, we are all connected. Remember, solidarity beats hate. The more we unite, the stronger we become. Because at the end of the day, we are all equally human and we all deserve the same rights. One last thing before I go. Put your hand on your heart and repeat after me, all of us together. I attract positivity and joy into my life. Yep, I attract positivity and joy into my life. Please subscribe now. Your follow helps me keep this podcast alive and growing for our community. My dear friends, see you next week. Ciao. Subscribe now and share to uplift, empower, and make a real difference in our community.